Hi, these are what our onion plants look like. It's March 10th now. I did the first video. I planted them. Today I'm going to be planting tomatoes using the same method that I used for the onions and the peppers. And here's what the peppers look like right over here. And after this video on how I show you how I planted the seeds here, I will also be doing how to transplant these peppers into their individual containers. And so that's what they look like. The onions we're just going to leave in here until we transplant them out into the garden. They'll just continue to grow here. I have heard that you can, once they get really long like this, that you can just cut off the tops. And I had tried that on these ones over here. You can see they're not quite as long. I did it only on half of that container. And I have no idea. I guess when I plant them in the spring, we'll see if it does indeed make the bulbs bigger or not. So I'll get to showing how I planted these seeds. Thank you. Okay, well today I'm going to be doing tomatoes. I did an earlier episode video on planting onions by seed indoors, and I'm going to be doing a more in-depth episode on how we plant our seeds indoors on the tomatoes here today. We use a mixture of 1/3 each of peat moss, soil from our garden, and perlite, and that's just a volcanic, natural occurring volcanic mineral, I guess. And by putting that in the soil, it gives it it aerates the soil, which for tomatoes is really important because we will be transplanting these into bigger pots later on. And the looser the soil, the less chance you are going to damage the root systems when you're pulling it up to transplant it. So we have our soil already mixed. I have my water here. We just bought I'm pretty sure it's for spraying weeds, but we've never used it for that. We bought it specifically for spraying water. It's light, it's gentle, and it works great for the seedlings. When they're just coming up, it gets a nice, gentle watering, and you don't damage them that way. And so we're going to take our soil mixture and we are going to put them in our little flats here. I already have these flats marked out of which variety of tomatoes. And in this one here, we're going to be doing New Girl. And we're planting Valencia tomatoes on this side. And I just fill it up about half full of the soil mixture. Make sure that peat moss is all broken up. And then what I do is I take the water and I just spray down the soil. It kind of slightly packs the soil, so when I put the seeds in, they don't sink down at different levels. That way they're all coming up pretty much at the same time. So we don't have a lot of that loose peat moss blowing around like it does. Alright, and that looks about good. And then these are tomato seeds that I have collected myself from last year. I'm not going to bother counting because I collected a lot of them. Apparently I have the knack for harvesting tomato seeds. And I'm just going to sprinkle them out in our flat here till it looks good. And that probably looks all right. And then we have Valencia here. And to be honest, I couldn't tell you what these tomatoes are good for until after they've grown. And I can identify them by sight, not by name. That's my husband's job. Alrighty, so that's pretty, couple more right there. Alright, then I am going to, just for good measure, kind of give it a little sprinkle in, hold those little seeds in place, and then cover them back up. And you just do like a thin layer, more or less, depending on the depth that you want to plant the seeds. Make sure that they're all covered. Break up that peat moss a little bit more. I'm going to need a little more soil in that one. That side and that side. Yeah, we'll just finish the bucket. All right. And then I'm going to water them in really good using our handy dandy little sprayer. And I just kind of water it once the water kind of sits on top and it doesn't just soak right up. Then I say that's probably about good. And we're kind of getting there on that one. At first when you're spraying these, it sucks the water up so fast, which is good. And I just stop once it slows down on its sucking up. Okay, so we got water kind of starting to pool up there. Perfect. All right. And that's how I like to plant the seeds. I'm going to kind of add in a little video in the beginning of this to show you the onions that we planted and also some peppers that we planted using this same method. It works really good and it's real easy. By using this water sprayer, you're not packing down the soil with heavy water flow, doing it another way. It's a very light, gentle mist that still gets plenty of water on there, and so there's no damaging any of the seedlings or packing it down where they're going to have even more trouble coming up. We water them like this until they're a pretty good size, probably about 3 inches or so, and then we just start pouring in water until they get big enough to transplant. And then we put them right up here into our seed starter. We have some material here. Trust me, that's not to look pretty. That's just to keep the kittens from digging in our seedlings. And then when they grow, we'll end up transplanting these, and I will do a video on that probably with the peppers because we're gonna have to transplant them soon. And then you just put them in the garden. So I'll do another video about transplanting a little bit later on, and I hope this is helpful. It really truly is. We have tried planting seeds in many different ways, poking holes or whatever, everything that you see on the internet, and we have started doing it this way about 3 years ago. And by far, I have found it's the best way to work for us. We get an optimal seed growth, plus survival rating and transplanting, especially using this perlite, because the plants are really easy to dig up. This is a great way to do it if you're looking for something new, an easier, quicker method. I'm lazy, I like easy and quick. Or if you're not having that great of a seed sprouting and you just want to try something better, I highly suggest you try this method. It has worked for us, and you know, unless somebody shows me something different that works better, this is definitely the way I like to plant all of our seeds in the house. So thanks, I hope that helps, and you guys have a great day.